Yo, what up? I'm back again. This is going to be another quick video. Thanks to everybody who liked and or watched my previous video. I did not expect it to blow up the way it did, but I want to address something real quick because there's a lot of talk about the Dallas Cowboys and getting rid of Jason Garrett. All along the forums, everybody's talking about Jason Garrett and Scott Linehan, that if we get rid of them, somehow things are going to change, and that Scott Linehan basically isn't doing his job as offensive coordinator. And I'm not here to argue either of those points. I do think that Jason Garrett, I don't think he's a good coach. I've never thought he was a good coach. Keep in mind that he did have 3 8-8 seasons right after he was hired. And I did a little stat checking for you guys. 2011, he officially became head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. His record as a Dallas Cowboy coach, including his interim time in 2010 where he coached for 8 games, 68-55, right? 68 wins, 55 losses. We've been to the playoffs twice during that time. In comparison, Ron Rivera from the Carolina Panthers, same time, 2011, his record 65-48. He has been to 4 playoff games and 1 Super Bowl in the same amount of time, right? So I don't think that Jason Garrett is a good coach, but keep in mind, Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year 2 years ago. So if you think that Jerry Jones is going to fire him, I'm not so sure he will fire him. Scott Linehan, that may be a different story. I could see a scenario where he fires Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett takes over play calling. But if you remember, Jason Garrett used to call the plays before when Tony Romo was there, and we had a problem moving the ball then. That's when they brought in Scott Linehan as the passing coordinator and Jason Garrett was the running coordinator. So I don't think Jason Garrett's a good coach. I don't even think he's a good offensive coordinator. I don't think getting rid of him is necessarily the answer, and I'll tell you why. Let's say we do get rid of Jason Garrett, right? We fire Jason Garrett, we fire Scott Linehan. Who are you going to put in charge of the coach? So let's say Rod Marinelli. I like Rod Marinelli as a defensive coordinator. I don't think he's a good head coach, and I think his record says the exact same thing. He has a terrible record as a head coach. Chris Richards, I heard a lot of people like, oh, I'll put Chris Richards. I'm not sure that that's the answer. And then what about his staff? Is he going to keep the same staff? Is that going to make a difference? Either way you go, you're looking at years down the road before we become competitive. I've heard people throw out names like, go get Mike Tomlin. Like that's going to be an easy feat. Or go get Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher's been out of the game for what, 10 years now? I think the game has passed him by. Game has changed. The rules have changed. It's just, I just don't even think that'd be a good fit. And then keep in mind, right, we had the big tuna, right? We had Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells couldn't even get what he wanted while he was here in Dallas. And what I mean by get what he wanted, I guarantee every single year at the NFL draft, Jerry Jones had final say over who was getting drafted. Guarantee. I guarantee Bill Parcells could put his input in, but ultimately it was Jerry Jones and now Stephen Jones who make that final decision, right? Because ultimately Stephen Jones is the general manager, and that's the way they have it structured. So to think that a coach can come in, even somebody as well known and prestigious as a Bill Parcells, and he can't get his own guys, the guys that he wants. I mean, that's why he left New England. So yeah, I don't. Anybody you get until Jerry Jones dies, nothing's gonna change. If they're not a yes man, if they don't do exactly as Jerry Jones wants, they won't be the head coach, period. And that's why Jason Garrett has lasted this long, is because he does what Jerry Jones wants. So if you want real change, the only way that's going to happen is, A, if Jerry Jones dies, right? If he dies and then Stephen Jones takes over, and hopefully Stephen Jones is not like his daddy and he listens to reason and he hires a general manager, then yes. Or if Jerry Jones concedes that he is not Jimmy Johnson and he hires a general manager to take over, then I would say, yeah, you could see some real change. Until that happens, nothing's going to change. You can fire everybody. You can hire Mike Tomlin. You can hire Bill Belichick. Nothing's going to change until that coach gets a say in who is drafted, who plays where, who's cut, who we signing. I guarantee Bill Belichick has that authority. I guarantee he does. So that's all I'm saying. So